Hello. So, week 5, um, we are discussing chapters 18 and 19, and it's really great because we're focusing on clarity, coherence. Well, really just like the clarity piece, and then writing your claim, right? So, especially with this writing assignment, number 3, thinking about your appeal, like what your claim and your appeals are. It's good to kind of revisit, and something to really keep in mind, especially like say chapter 18. The biggest takeaway for me on this chapter and how it can be applied to your writing. Oh no, hold on, something just moved. Is the repeating a claim. So repeating a claim increasingly more vehemently rather than offering solid evidence. So this is kind of going into that like whole thesis umbrella, creating that thesis umbrella, and then having clear topic sentences that really break down and explain what your thinking is, right? Because you have your audience, you have your idea, and you're needing to kind of create that bridge, right? Where you're explaining your thought process, breaking it down with evidence, with support, with examples. And that really comes to, not just restating your thesis over and over and over again. Because I see that so often. Or I see you have your thesis statement and then you go off on a whole nother tangent on your body paragraphs to support your claim, and you just kind of start talking to your audience, but you're forgetting like there's a whole system. There's that mathematical equation where you have, your thesis statement, body paragraphs, conclusion, and they all need to be lined up. So making sure, like, what is your thesis statement exactly, right? Do you have your main idea, your why, and your audience, right? Like write that down somewhere on your computer or on a post-it, so that while you're typing your body paragraphs, after you type each one, or even after you've written, all 3, 4 paragraphs, looking at each paragraph and saying, does this explain my thesis statement? Do I have a topic sentence that explains my thesis? Do I have an example to explain my topic sentence? And do I explain how that relates to my thesis? Like, am I explaining myself rather than just repeating myself over and over again? But am I breaking it down, right, into kind of like those teachable moments, right? Am I teaching my audience my thought process? Am I teaching them what I'm trying to say? Like, is that coming across? What am I choosing? The things, the examples, are my choices relatable to my audience? Which again, that's like in the revision piece, but just trying to create that mathematical equation, like really breaking it down so that you can see a clear line and relationship. So that was kind of that piece. And then also looking at um, the counter argument. What will your audience say? We've talked about this before in other videos, that with your stakeholders, what's something that they're going to push back on? What's something that they're going to be uncertain about? What's the first question they're going to ask? And can you get ahead of that and address it in your paper? Can you turn that into a topic sentence? In your body paragraph support, or is it an additional thing that you introduce? Like, here's all your support for your claim, right? And then, hey, I can see my audience is going to struggle with this question, or this is the first thing they're going to come up with, and go ahead and address it, right? So if, for example, if I'm trying to get people to sign up for this program at Orange Theory, and I give all my reasons why it's so healthy, and it's a time to take a break for yourself, and you have they have already got professional trainers, they've got it organized, like I'm giving you all my reasons why Orange Theory is, the program for you. What's something somebody's going to throw back? What's my audience going to say, if I'm talking to, stay-at-home moms? What are they going to say? It's expensive, right? That's something they're going to say. Like going to a gym or joining a gym membership, if you're a stay-at-home mom, might be too expensive. if you're living off one income, right? So kind of breaking those down, like thinking about who's my audience? Do these reasons come up? And can I build a bridge? And then what's something that they're gonna push back on or have a question about or be curious? And go ahead and address it in your paper. Okay, next, chapter 19. Let me pull this up real quick. Oh, here it is. Okay, so chapter 19 is clarity and cohesion, which I love clarity. I feel like that is where I really, I like to make things very simple. I don't like a lot of fluff. I don't like to, be flowery, and I'm typically not super charismatic in my typing right away. Like when I initially write out, I just want like nuts and bolts and get my ideas out. When I do like emails or blogs or any type of communication, marketing campaigns, whatever I work on. So I get that out because I need to be clear, right? And then I kind of go back and I decide, how am I going to engage my audience? Who am I talking to? What do they need to hear? If I'm doing, I'm working on this marketing campaign for a local elementary school, and like we were discussing last night, how are we going to engage the community, right? We're like building this campaign around families with young children, and we're, kind of pulling at those heartstrings, like make our local school awesome, right? Join in the community involvement. Like you have to kind of figure out who your audience is and how to best pull them in to your message. So keep that in mind. But it doesn't, that's kind of like the revision piece. So it doesn't matter if you are able to pull them in if what you have to say doesn't resonate with them, right? So if I'm, wanting to talk about how saving money is so important in my Orange Theory, gym membership idea, if my audience is, CEOs who don't have time to go to a gym, that's not going to work, right? It's going to be more of like me telling them like they need to create a gym facility at their like their place of employment, like PSU has like a workout room or a gym that you can join and have a membership to. Like that would resonate with somebody who's so busy at work, rather than, the stay-at-home mom who's looking for an excuse to get out, but also needs to be careful about her budget, right? So you have to play those into consideration when you're working with your audience, keeping them in mind, like writing it out. Who's my audience? And this is my thesis. Here's my support that I'm working on. Am I keeping it together, right? Am I keeping it coherent? So I really do like, with the clarity and coherent piece, like how to break it down at, the sentence level, paragraph level, the essay level. And some of the things that stuck out to me was really just the over explaining, where you just kind of keep going on and on about the same thing, but is it really like the thing that's going to resonate most with your audience, right? It says here, over explaining is all too common, both on the internet and in the published world. Next time you find yourself irritated by the length of someone's communication, ask yourself whether it's an over explaining issue. Like, yes, keep those things in mind. That's why clarity is so nice, because you can really decide what do you need to keep and what do you need to add in order for your audience to really understand your thought process, right? So that's kind of why I like to have, one body paragraph, one idea in each body paragraph, one idea, not two, not like 1.5, just one idea, one example, and really explain it, because that's just this one idea, and it connects back to your thesis. Boom, done. Second body paragraph, one topic sentence, one supporting detail, one form of explanation, all makes sense because it lines up together and it explains back to your thesis. Boom. This idea of just one, because then when you start to add too many examples or too many ideas to explain your reasoning back to your thesis, the readers get lost because they're like, wait a minute, I thought we're talking about, Orange Theory, and now we're talking about like creating a gym in your building, and that's too much, right? Too many ideas, and I'm trying to over explain like why it's so important to exercise. No, like you need to break it down, keep it super simple, and then once you have that clarity piece, then you can kind of go back and play with your words, play with your voice, play with context, and figure out, what does my audience need to really jazz it up, like really pull them in. But you can't pull them in until you have your basic stuff laid out. So it's, especially with this next assignment, I feel like that is going to be the key, is have your structure in place, your thesis, your topic sentences. Like, can you find them? Can you list them? Can you write them out? And kind of then break it down and figure out, okay, I've got my thesis, I have my topic sentences, they all relate back to my thesis. Okay, now let's find my research that's going to, be placed in for this body paragraph. This works. Okay, well, now how am I going to explain it? Okay, great. Really just, even if you need to break it up and, one day organize, day 2, start filling in your body paragraphs, day 3, revise, kind of really focus on audience. It doesn't need to be where you sit down and write it all day long. It's really, generating information and then deciding how you're going to revise it and tailor it to your audience. That's key. It doesn't get done in one sit down. So constantly going back and looking at your work, is really going to be helpful for the finished product. So please reach out. Let me know how I can help. I'm already, setting up a few appointments, and I'm happy to discuss, we can break it down together. We can look at your thesis statement. Okay, does that work? Great. Let's look at your body paragraphs. Do these work? What works? What doesn't? How do we revise? How are we including our audience? We can discuss that together. So please feel free, call me, email me. Let's set up a time to talk. And that's it for chapters 18 and 19.